Transgender is an interesting topic. Like, some people say don't touch on it, but I don't know. It doesn't really affect my life. I don't care if it really does. Like, I don't care if a man wants to be a woman or a woman wants to be a man. Not a big fan of a man becoming a woman, then wanting to play female sports. I'm like, no, you still got man bones, man hands, and man feet. I don't want some dude turning into a woman playing against my daughter in basketball, backing her down the lane and shit. If you don't get that big motherfucker off my baby girl! I know who that is. That's Jamie. He dropped the E. He was a hell of a running back in 6th grade. It's got to be tough right now, like to run a corporation, because you got men turn to women, women turn to men, and then some of these companies, they got to meet a quota. They got to hire a certain amount of men, a certain amount of women to meet a quota. You know, but and the truth of the matter is, and we all know this deep in our hearts, we just can't say it now, but like some jobs were just meant for men, and some jobs were just meant for women. I wish you could say that. I'm sorry, I can't hire you, you're a dude. I'm sorry, I can't hire you, you're a woman, this isn't for you. And we all know what those jobs are. So, well, you know, tomorrow's Friday night. Can you imagine, fellas, tomorrow night you go to a nightclub, get a section, get a couple bottles, and a bunch of fucking bottle boys bring that shit out. Sorry, it's Bottle Boy Friday. Yeah, you gotta come back tomorrow if you want the girls, but tonight's Bottle Boy Friday. Get all these Lil Nas X motherfuckers away from my table. It's what it is, bro. Cancel culture is a big thing too. I don't know. We're not supposed to talk about certain people, special needs people, are supposed to be off limits. I never did understand that concept, because they're the happiest people on the planet. Yep. You know. One of them's here or not. I don't know. So fast. Yep. Shut the fuck up, Corey. Put me down. Yeah. He said, special needs, you're happy. I said, yep. Looks like an asshole. The motherfucker's got a helmet on the way out. Yep. That's probably the only shit he says all day. Hey, Corky, you want McDonald's? Yep. You want Burger King? Yep. Which one you want? It was so fast. I got in trouble a couple years ago because I got a special needs cousin. Her name's Tina. A bunch of people got mad because I talked about her on one of my specials, you know. I didn't understand why people got mad because I was talking about my own cousin, you know. I guess it's just weird because I think, like, it's not the special needs people that get upset. It's like these advocates. They just want to, I don't know. They're just mad. I don't know what they're so mad about. You know, even in my joke, I didn't like say anything bad about her. It wasn't malicious. I was just describing her. Because I said the R word, though. People got mad. I said the word. I guess you're not supposed to say that, which, I don't know. I don't think it was a big deal, you know. People got mad. It was like, you know, you can't be saying the R word. I didn't get the email blast. I didn't know. Because even when I said it in my special, I didn't use it like bad. I used it as a description. You know, I got a cousin Tina, she's retarded. I got a cousin Joey, he's tall. There wasn't nothing mean about it, but these goddamn advocates, they be on you, man. You haven't talked about retarded people. I go, I didn't. I'm talking about one. My cousin, I ain't talking about the whole group. It doesn't make any sense. Like, or even like, my cousin Tina, like, she's so happy. I think most special needs people are happy. I really met one that was mad. You know? It's almost like they got the key to life. We the fucked up ones. It's like they got the shit figured out. Tina, every time I see her, she's happy. You know? Only time I stayed upset was when people came after me because in my special, I talked about her. And then motherfuckers was coming at me, And then Tina, every time I see her, she's just the happiest person on the planet, Like every time I see her with a fun, she just come right up. She was, get her. Yep. She saw my special. I didn't know she saw it. She wanted to run up and tell me she saw my special. And she was like, Gary, you talk about me on TV. I said, I told you I'm talking about you on TV. And then she spun away and she goes, Gary, talk about me on TV. I was like, listen, I've never been that happy in my life because I just spun out of a fucking conversation. I just want to know what that level of happiness feels like one time in my life. Hey Gary, how's it going? Pretty good, how are you?
Hey y'all, you listen to the Gary Owen podcast. Hashtag Get Some. Hey, what's up everybody? This is Gary Owen with the Get Some podcast. You can listen to this on iTunes. Just search Gary Owen, hashtag Get Some. Or go to my YouTube page, youtube.com/Gary Owen.com. Filming this as I do every week in Cincinnati, Ohio at Timeless Recording Studios. You can follow them at Timeless R Studio. I'm just going to get my schedule out of the way. Last week I was in Cleveland, Ohio. Thank you to everybody that came out. We packed out 7 shows. I even had a couple of the Baltimore Orioles come out Thursday night, and I went out to dinner after the show with them. It's just interesting when you get somebody in a different field that's a professional. And it was funny because these guys were so interested in my career, and I'm really interested in their career. Because, it's not that. I was thinking about when I'm a kid. If I was a kid, that'd be like probably one of the coolest things. Like you're going out to eat with a couple pro baseball players and didn't think nothing of it. I mean, we went to this place. Now, to me, the best place to eat in Cleveland is XO Steakhouse. Man, they got really good food there, but it's funny. So I'm out to eat. So I got me, my opener, who's his name is Say M. He's a Cambodian guy. And then I got these 2 guys that play for the Orioles with me. And then the check comes and I picked up the check, right? And they looked at me and go, oh man, thanks, man. Thanks for buying dinner. And I go, well, you guys kind of paid for it because you bought tickets. I go, then you bought a couple t-shirts off of me and you bought a DVD. I said, you guys kind of paid for your dinner because that's all in my pocket. So that was kind of a dick move on my part. So my apologies. And this week I'm in Jacksonville, Florida, August 23rd through the 26th at the Comedy Zone. And then next week I'm in New York City, September 30th August 30th through September 2nd. I'm at Caroline's in New York. And then I'm in Dayton, Ohio, September 6th through the 9th at the Funny Bone out there. Now, when I go to New York, I'm going to I'm actually guest hosting for Sway. I think that's going to be on the 31st. I'll be sitting in for him. He won't be there. So I'm thinking about getting like one of them Scully beanies that Sway wears, and I'll get an Oakland t-shirt. And then I'll talk real slow and deep and show no emotion when guys tell me some deep stuff. Dang, that's crazy. Man, you really did that? Wow. Yeah, so when's your next album coming out? So you got shot 37 times in your heart and you still lived. Man, that had to hurt. That's how I'm gonna talk in my Sway voice. And then I'm gonna be on the Breakfast Club again on the 31st. No, I'm sorry, on the 30th. Now you filmed the Breakfast Club the day before, and then it airs the next day. So I'm not sure. By the time I do next week's podcast, I'll know the actual air date because I think I film on the 30th and then it airs on the 31st. Yeah, so I'll be all over the place on that Friday, August 31st. But last time I did the Breakfast Club, I got dressed up as Tekashi 6ix9ine. So this time I'm not sure if I'm going to go as Gary Owen or should I dress up as somebody else. Maybe I'll take your guys' suggestions. So we'll see what happens. Now, before I went on the air, I was talking to some friends of mine, and we were talking about football season's coming up. And it's funny when now's the time all the diehard fans thinks their team's going to be good. Everybody. There's people in Tampa right now. There's people in Seattle, in LA, in Phoenix, in Chicago, in Minnesota. Right now, everybody's like, dude, watch out for us. People are sleeping on us. Nobody's sleeping on you. We all know who the good teams are. As long as Brady's in New England's always going to be good. Philly, nobody has a complete drop off when you win the Super Bowl. So do I think Philly's going to win the Super Bowl again? I don't. But Philly's going to be tough again. I was in Cleveland. I was talking to some Browns fans, and even they're like, "Yo, you sleeping on us, man? Don't sleep on us." I do agree. The Browns got a lot of talent, and the Hard Knocks this year is so freaking entertaining. I mean, they got the coaches are the best part of Hard Knocks with the Cleveland Browns, because you got Hugh Jackson, who's an entertaining coach in himself, but that damn defensive coordinator Greg Williams and the offensive coordinator Jack Haley. Jack Haley. God dang, they're must see TV, because it's clear Haley wants that job. He ain't trying to be no coordinator. He wants the head coaching job. He is not bullshitting. And Cleveland brought in Des Bryant, and then he came and left, and then they were like, it was funny. So on Hard Knocks, you see this guy named Corey Coleman, who was a first-round pick in 2016. So he's bitching because he's not with the number ones, and then he goes in the coach's office like, why don't y'all just trade me? If you ain't going to have me be first string, trade me. Motherfuckers traded him. Like the next day. All right, send him to Buffalo for like a 7th-round pick. That's such a slap in the face when you a first-round pick and they just trade you for nothing, basically. That's what they think of you. So if I'm Coleman, I got a lot to prove in Buffalo. And then they bring in Des Bryant. Everybody in Cleveland, I'm there last week. Everybody thought they going to sign Des. Nah, they just let him go. And then we find out Josh Gordon's back. And for those of you who don't know who Josh Gordon is, he's had issues with pot in the past, like numerous issues. He's gotten busted, pop positive so many times, keeps getting suspended. He's played in like 4 games in the last 3 years. But everyone I've ever talked to that's played with him or against him was like, that's the best receiver in the NFL by far if he can keep his head on straight. I mean, you got Odell Beckham, Julio Jones, Antonio Brown, AJ Green. They're like, Josh is better than all of them as long as he can keep his head on straight. It's not even close. And then I follow him on Instagram. Man, when he works out, I wish he would keep his shirt on, because he makes me feel like shit every time. He's got like thick abs. You guys see guys with abs and they're skinny. His abs are thick. I mean, it's like they stick out, and they each have. It's like each ab has its own ab within its ab. I can't even explain it. It's like look like it would hurt to hit him. But he came back. So this week on Hard Knocks is gonna be interesting to watch him come back. But I'll give him credit, man. Mental health is not anything to fuck with. Because when people say, "Oh, he can't just stop smoking weed. He's just messing up his own career." His brain, it doesn't stop him. When you have an addictive personality, you can't stop yourself. You want to stop yourself. You know it's wrong, but you can't. I mean, it's just, if you don't have an addictive personality, you can't explain it. Because the only thing that I can compare it to. So when you got people that do heroin and things like that, they know they're playing Russian roulette every time they stick a needle in their arm, but they can't stop themselves. Like, it's a chemical imbalance within your brain. And the only thing I can relate it to, I don't have an addictive personality, but I'm very much a creature of habit. So when I come to a city, if I find a good restaurant the first day, I might eat at that restaurant every day after that. Or I might get the same food. I might go to like a Chipotle and it was good and I'll eat it every day. And as far as like heroin addicts, I see a lot of them, or just guys going to rehab in general. You hear a lot of times that they'll do one last high. I'm going to do this one last hit because I know I'm going into rehab and I'm not going to do it anymore. And that's a recipe for failure. The only way I can relate that is when you're eating right and eating healthy, what you'll do is you'll be like, I'm just going to eat this Reese cup at 2 a.m. Nobody sees me. I'm just going to eat one Reese cup. But you just defeated the purpose of working out and eating healthy when you ate that Reese cup that nobody saw you eat. And that reminds me of, the guy that actually, is the engineer here at Timeless. We got to do this early in the morning today when we're recording this, because he said he's got a training. He's working out with a trainer. And I was like, yo, you ever thought of intermittent fasting? And he was like, he wasn't sure what I was talking about. I've been intermittent fasting for the last month and a half, 2 months. And what that is the first meal I eat every day is at 2 p.m. And then I have to be done eating by 10 p.m. And granted, you still have to eat healthy. But it gives you a little leeway, I think, because you don't have as much time to consume as many calories. But I like intermittent fasting. I just feel better in the morning when I wake up, and right when I feel like, oh my God, I can't take it, I got to eat, it's time to eat. Now, granted, I don't work out at 6 a.m. because if I did, I'd probably have to eat, because I'd be burning calories so much. I'd be like, I'd be getting lightheaded. So I try to work out later in the day when I'm intermittent fasting. But I first heard about it from Terry Crews. I heard Terry Crews talking about how it gives his digestive tract a chance to recover, and then you're burning all morning. Your body's just burning, and then you start refueling later on in the day. So I actually like the way intermittent fasting makes me feel. A lot of people, when I first heard it, I was like, there's no way I can do this. Because you're so used to being ingrained in your brain, like breakfast is the most important meal of the day. It's really not. I mean, you can go a couple hours after you wake up and feel fine. Your body's just going to be burning the stuff you ate from the night before. So, and let me tell you something, and when you don't eat for 3 hours before you go to bed, you wake up in the morning feeling skinny as shit. Like, I literally be in the mirror like, God damn, I look good this morning. Once you get that first meal in, all of a sudden, bloop, bloop. And I think that's the one thing I haven't done in my life. Like, I've worked out, I've been healthy. There was a time in my life I was running a lot. Now I'm getting older. My knees are bad. I can't really do that. So I bought a Peloton bike, so I can work out at the house. That thing, I love that thing, because you just walk in the other room and get on it for 45 minutes, and it's like you're going to Soul Cycle or a Cycle Bar. It's just in your own house. So I do that a lot, but it's funny. I've never met my abs ever. The top 2 have come in, and I've had a flat stomach, but I ain't ever just had 8-pack, 6-pack. It's the vein of my existence. Like, I really want to meet them one day. I just think they're shy. I just think my abs are shy. I've eaten healthy. I've done all that. I'm like, what the fuck do I got to do to see? Because everybody, everywhere I read and everywhere I go, they're like, everybody's got abs. Everybody's got them. You just not everybody's seen them. You got a layer of fat over your abs. And I'm like, really? That sounds good, but where the fuck are my abs? I mean, when I say I've eaten salad, cut out carbs, stop drinking, I pretty much, the only thing I drink now is water, and I might have almond milk or some coffee. That's it. And I don't put nothing in my coffee. So as far as like what I'm drinking, that ain't it. I'm taking out dairy and sugar. I'm like, dude, what the hell do I got to do to meet my abs? I don't know. I get so frustrated when I see like Michael B. Jordan's Instagram, or guys that was in the movie 300, shit like that. I remember when the movie 300 came out, I was shooting a movie called College in New Orleans, and I went and saw it. And then afterwards, all those guys were so fucking ripped. I was looking at a buddy of mine. I was like, dude, that's it, man. We're working out right now. From here on out, we're eating healthy. We're going to do what they did. On the way home from the movie, we passed a Cafe du Monde. If you know what Cafe du Monde is, it's like just fried, basically dough, and they put powdered sugar on it. And it's so freaking good, man. If you ever go to New Orleans, everybody goes to Cafe du Monde. And that's all they serve. They don't serve burgers, fries, nothing. It's like beignets is what they're called. That's all they serve. And you can get some coffee and milk, but it's beignets. But we're on the way home from seeing 300, and we're in here fired up in the car. That's it, man. We're working out, eating healthy. And we passed the Cafe Du Monde, and we were like, tomorrow. We're going to start tomorrow. We destroyed some beignets after we saw the movie 300. Okay. I think this week, the bad news was Aretha Franklin passed away. And I was talking to somebody about it, and they was like, it's funny how when you pass away, then everybody plays your music. And I get it. You're remembering everybody. Like when Prince passed away and Michael Jackson passed away and now Aretha Franklin passed away. That's all you hear is their music. And it's more like you want to celebrate people more when they're here than when they pass away. Same when XXXTentacion passed away and all you heard was his music. That's it. I mean, that's all you do. And sometimes it's crazy because I'm not familiar with artists until they die. Let's take XXXTentacion. I never listened to his music. I just saw him doing. I didn't know who he was till he got beat up in San Diego when the guy walked on stage and sucker punched him. And then I'd see like videos of him, and he posts these crazy pictures of himself when he was discoloring his eyes or getting these crazy tattoos. But I've actually listened to a couple of his songs, and now I get why he connected with the teenage fan base and young adults, because he sang about depression and how you feel like nobody understands you. And he's got a song with Post Malone called Damaged, and it's basically a remix. Like Post Malone's got Fall Apart, and then XXXTentacion comes and sings like this hook where he talks about how his heart's damaged. It's a pretty deep song, especially when you're in the car by yourself and you're listening to it, and then you can be like, okay, if I'm a 18-year-old kid and you remember how you felt when you was 18, I said, I'd just be in my car. Like I could see how he connected with his audience like that. I really could. Another guy I didn't know. Chris Cornell, who committed suicide last year, who was the lead singer of Soundgarden. I knew this dude could sing, and I liked him in Temple of the Dog, and I liked probably about 5-6 of his songs. But man, I became an uber fan once he passed away because people started posting all his music online. And if you get a chance, go to YouTube and look up Chris Cornell. And then he does a couple songs. He does a Whitney Houston with just a guitar and him on stage. And it's I Will Always Love You. And it was right after Whitney Houston passed away, and he's in San Francisco. And he gets on stage, and the crowd doesn't know what he's going to sing. And he leads into it and goes, I just learned this song the other day, so if I mess up, bear with me. And he crushes it. I mean, crushes it. I'll be in my car listening to that on YouTube, probably more than any other song, just because you feel the energy of the crowd, and you don't know the song when he first starts it, because he's just got a guitar, and he made it like a rock version of the song, and he just destroyed it. And I was like, yo. And then he does the Sinead O'Connor / Prince song, Nothing Compares to You. He does this acoustic version. I think he did it for XM Radio. Like XM Radio had these different people doing these in-studio songs, acoustic songs. He kills that. He does he's got a Billie Jean one out there. And all this stuff's like acoustic and live, and looks like he's just off the cuff, but I didn't realize what a amazing singer that dude was until he passed away. And now I'm upset because that's somebody I would have liked to see live. I just didn't. Yeah, just for whatever reason, I didn't appreciate the talent, or he wasn't on my radar until he committed suicide. And then everyone started posting his music everywhere. And then I got a hit to it, and I was like, yo, that dude's voice was something special for real. Now, it seems like this episode I'm talking about mental health a lot. We're talking about Josh Gordon and Chris Cornell committing suicide and everything else. Now that I have my podcast, I start listening to a lot of other people's podcasts just to see what's successful and what people are gravitating to. And there's some good ones out there, some not so good ones. I really enjoy Joe Rogan's a lot. Now, Joe Rogan is very UFC. heavy. He's got an eclectic group of guests. You never know. My publicist actually called to see if I can get on there, and Joe Rogan's people called back and said, nah, we're kind of booked, but who else you got? I was like, ain't that a bitch? So they basically said no to me, but who else you got on your roster? So are you booked or not? Now, and I know it's not coming from Joe, but whoever his people are was like, ah. And I know it's probably like his podcast is one of the top ones out there. So getting on that is not an easy thing to do, but I really want to get on his podcast one day because I just enjoy listening to it. And I mean, that's why I really started learning about intermittent fasting and everything else. Like I heard it from Terry Crews, but then I saw it, Joe Rogan talking about it, and I was like, I'm going to see that. Theo Vaughn's another comedian, has a really good podcast. Bert Kreischer has a good one. And, you know, and I know my audience is, I have a real big black audience and also female black audience. Cause I can go to my Facebook, my Instagram, my Twitter, and now they have a way you can check your stats. You can tell what state, what city, what demographics are listening to you. And my demographic, more than any other, it's like 60% black females is my demographic. And then everybody else is the other 40%. So white people and black males in that, and then other is that's my fan base. So when I started doing my podcast, I was like, I'm going to go sports heavy. That's what I thought. And then when I realized, my bigger shows and what people start really watching and listening is when I'm not talking as much sports. Now I still do sports, but I'm also trying to make sure my audience doesn't leave and I want them to tune in. And what I found is with podcasts, especially in the black community, and that's a big part of my audience, it's not as popular as it is with other demographics. It is funny too, because I get white people coming to my shows that got hit to me because of my podcast. And they're the ones that ask, when's your next podcast coming out? If I get messages online, it's if I get 10 messages, 9 of them are from white people asking about the podcast, and some of them don't like it. They don't like my podcast. I get this. I got told this last week. They go, hey man, you need a co-host because you starting to tell the same stories over and over again. And I'm like, not over and over again, maybe over again, but not over and over. That reminds me when people be like, you asking to come get you. I'm like, dude, I got to drive all the way there, then all the way back. Or you just got to drive there and drive back. But they put that all on there, makes it sound like that trip's twice as long. Dude, like I'll be like, ew, man, can you pick me up from the airport? Bro, I got to drive all the way to the airport, then I got to drive all the way to your house, then I got to drive all the way to work. That makes it sound like it's a cross-country trip. Or you could say, yeah, Gary, I'll come get you. I just got to drive to the airport, take you back, then go to work. That sounds like a lot shorter trip. But motherfuckers will be like, I got to drive all the way there and go listen to my podcast right now. Next time you ask somebody to do something for you as far as driving and distance, watch how they put all. It makes that trip sound 3 times as long. Watch. Now, if you just say, I got to drive to work and drive home, that doesn't sound like a long trip to work. Dude, I got to drive all the way to work. Now I got to drive all the way home. Watch how that sounds like that sounds like they're in the 1800s and they're literally taking a horse and buggy and going through rough terrain to get to work when they're really just driving like 10 miles, then driving back 10 miles. But that all is everything. So Bert Kreischer, Theo Vaughn, Joe Rogan. I really like listening to their podcast. Joey Diaz, he's got a good podcast too. Me and Joey Diaz, if you don't know who Joey Diaz is, he's been around for a while. He's a comedian. And we actually had the same manager when I first got to LA. This dude's name was Ken Phillips. I don't even know where Ken Phillips is at anymore. But I remember I was not happy with where my career was going. I felt like I was bringing all the work in. And I remember I was talking to somebody about my first manager, and I said, man, I'm getting offers from other managers, man, and I feel like I'm generating all my own work. And I was like, I'm thinking about firing them, but I'm loyal, try to be loyal. And they go, dude, your manager's office is in his apartment. And it made all the sense to me. I go, oh yeah, I probably can't let him go. He goes, dude, your manager's office is in an apartment. What's that tell you about what kind of manager you got? because your manager should have his or her own office. Now I've had the same manager for the last 15 years. We're like joined at the hip, my manager now. But within those podcasts, and especially when I was talking about Theo Vaughn and Joe Rogan, I got hip to these two dudes. One's name is David Goggins, and I don't want to mispronounce the guy's name. Both these guys are ex-Navy SEALs. Jocko Willnick and David Goggins. If you're out there listening, pull those guys up on YouTube and just listen to them talk. Now, they're both ex-Navy SEALs. Now they're both just basically sharing their stories. David's story, David Goggins, now he's a black guy, talks about growing up, had it rough, went to an all-white school, got called the N-word a lot, was fat, was like out of shape, depressed. He talks about how after high school, he was spraying like the insecticides at like Steak and Shakes and Burger King. So he was working late at night. He goes, and every night when he got off work in the middle of the night, he would just go get a milkshake, a cheeseburger, and just was fat. And then he's like, he came home one night, and he's like, I'm sipping on a milkshake, I'm eating a cheeseburger. And he saw one of those shows about the Navy SEALs. And he was like, and just a light went off. And he was like, yo, that's what I want to do. I want to join the Navy and become a Navy SEAL, which is, let me tell you, it's one of the hardest things you do in life is be a Navy SEAL. So he's the only guy, according to him, that went through Hell Week 3 times in a year. Now, if you don't know what Hell Week is, before I was in the Navy, I'm going to get to Jocko Willnick in a minute. I want to tell David's story first. If you don't know what Hell Week is, so when I was in the Navy, I was a cop. I was a police officer. I was stationed at NAB Coronado. Now, NAB Coronado, it's right outside of San Diego. And basically is in San Diego. It's just there's a little body of water that's called the Coronado Bay Bridge. You got to cross that bridge, and then you're in Coronado. And then you're just looking at San Diego once you cross the bridge. But that's where the Navy base is. That's also where BUDS training is, which is basic underwater demolition school. And these are the guys they're trying to become Navy SEALs. They got to go through BUDS. Now, BUDS is in 3 phases. You got the first phase, second phase, third phase. The first phase is all physical. They're just trying to break you to see where you're at. And then the second phase is more classwork, technical, learning about weapons and tactical movements and things like that. Then the third phase is kind of a combo of the first. So what happens is, now I could be wrong, but when I was in the Navy, I believe it was 6 months was BUDS training. So every phase was 2 months. And your first 2 months, you're just, you're swimming, you're running, you're working out constantly. They're just getting you ready. They're breaking you down to see if they can break you as far as with the physical fitness stuff. And that the last week of phase 1 is called Hell Week. Now, this is what Hell Week is. You get up on Sunday morning. They wake you up, and all these BUDS candidates trying to be Navy SEALs, they're all sleeping in a room. Let's say a gym, right? And they're just laying down. So it's Saturday night. They all go to bed, let's say 10 o'clock. They don't know when they're getting woken up. All of a sudden, like 3:34 in the morning, all these instructors, these Navy SEAL instructors come in, and they start cussing them out. They're shooting like blank guns, and then they all got to run out on the beach, and they start rolling in the sand, and then they go and they got to run into the water. So now they're wet. They got sand in them. And they all got these rafts they carry, these big rafts, and they got to carry them over their head. Everywhere they go, they got these rafts. That's where they run. They got these rafts over their head. Because at any point, you might get in the water, and you got to hop in your raft. And I think it's like 8-man crews in the raft. And then these dudes stay up until Friday. So they get woken up Sunday night. They roll around the sand. They go in the water. Water could be cold, whatever. And they physically just are working out, and they don't stop moving until Friday. I mean, I can't even fathom that. Think about just running on the beach and rolling around the sand, and then having to get in a raft and having to paddle that raft out 20 miles out to sea, then paddle it back, and then doing push-ups and sit-ups, and you don't go to sleep. You might get like 4 or 5 hours. They might say, hey, okay, rest for 20 minutes at some point. But when I was on NAB Coronado, we used to have to set the perimeter. We used to have to set security for Hell Week, because once these guns start getting shot, it's blanks, and then they might set off flares and shit. It's loud, man, and people like they line up at the edge of the base in Coronado, and because they want to see when it's going to happen this Hell Week, and you don't want people taking pictures or videos, or you don't want people just running on the beach, because it is an open beach. Now, there's the base doesn't have a fence that separates it. There's signs that say this is a private beach. You're now on military property, but you can't just, you could just walk on the beach if you really wanted to. I mean, it'd be a long walk, but where Hell Week is. So what we would have to do as security at NAB Coronado, they would be like, okay, we got to set perimeters up, and we'd have our patrol cars and our ATVs and everything else on the beach to make sure nobody did anything, and nothing ever would happen, but just make sure any looky-loos, anybody can't wander on the beach at any time, because Hell Week's about to start. So we would see the guys and I worked nights. I worked 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. So I saw probably 4 or 5 different Hell Weeks start and finish. And so I'd be sitting there watching these guys roll around the sand, and they run out in the water and everything, and you hear the instructors just going off, and there's a bell you can ring. You can ring that bell at any moment, and that means you quit. You're done. You're out. You're not going to be a SEAL. You're no longer in budge training. You're done. And if they start, let's say they start with 80 guys, by Friday, maybe 20 are left. So 60 guys, and some people get hurt. That's what happened to this David Goggins guy. He got hurt. That's why he did Hell Week 3 times. Because, he's like, one time he broke his leg, just because you're just pounding your body for a week. Because I remember we'd set up the perimeter on Sunday night. And then let's say I get off at 6 a.m. Monday morning, and I come back I'm off. So I'd be off like Monday, Tuesday. And then I come back Wednesday night. These fuckers are still going. You just see them on the base running around with their rafts over their head and all kinds of crazy shit. And I was like, yo, they're still awake. And then you'd see them in the chow hall, and they were like zombies. It was like the goddamn Walking Dead. They would just be sitting there, and they'd only get like 15 minutes to eat. And they were just out of it. You would just see, it literally was like they were in mentally they were in another frame of mind than I've ever seen anybody. And guys would start hallucinating. When you're up that long and your brain is saying we need rest, it starts playing tricks on you. Like one time we were setting the perimeter, or we were just kind of, I was just kind of watching from afar. Like I used to, like, if it was a slow night and it was Hell Week, I would kind of follow from afar. I'd be like that guy at the mall, following a good looking chick. You're acting like you don't see her, but all of a sudden you're in the same store as her and things like that. So if I was in my patrol car, I would just slowly patrol wherever I'd see these 6, 7 rafts with 8 guys underneath them running around the base. And I just would watch. And one time I remember this one guy just started going, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I was like, what the hell's he doing? So then I got cool with some of the instructors and everything. And when Hell Week was over, I'd ask them. One guy said, oh yeah. That was Smith. He thought there was a brick wall and the bricks were flying at him. So he was telling the other guys, watch out for the bricks. So literally in this guy's brain, he's got this raft over his head. He's running around the base, and he's telling the other guys, watch out. Whoa, whoa. And he was dodging bricks in his brain that was getting thrown at him and the other guys. Just his mind was playing tricks on him. I think the cruelest thing I ever saw was we had this steel pier on NAB Coronado. And this is like, let's just say it's Wednesday. So it's 3 days into Hell Week. They got 2 days left. I saw this one instructor. Well, not a couple instructors. So all the guys were just kind of doing sit-ups and doing a bunch of calisthenics basically on the steel pier. And it was wet. It was raining out. And so that made it worse. So the instructor goes, and I'm making this up. I don't know exactly what he said, but this is the gist of it. He goes, all right, this is what I want you guys to do. I want you to swim out 2 miles, hit that buoy, come back, run around the base 4 times. Then we're going to do 1,000 sit-ups, and then we're going to do something else. Or there was always an ambulance close by. When you're doing Hell Week, there was always EMTs and ambulances with them wherever they go. He goes, and literally the ambulance opened up, and he goes, I got some hot pizza here. I know he said, I got some fresh pizza. I got some hot chocolate. Or you guys can just have some pizza and hot chocolate and call it a day. 3 guys got out. I'll never forget it. Went ding, 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 rang the bell and quit right there. I saw 3 guys quit right in front of me. And then the guy goes, you know what? I changed my mind. Rest for 10 minutes. I was like, what the fuck? He just mind fucked them. He told them all the shit they were going to do. And then 3 guys quit. And he just went, I changed my mind. Just rest for 15 minutes or 10 minutes. So now all the guys are just basically chilling on the pier. It was still rain out, but I was like, and I asked a couple guys, because here's when you this is kind of random, but when you talk about police brutality cases in inner cities and how white cops be harassing black people and they don't know the people in the neighborhood, yet they patrol the neighborhood. It was when I was in the Navy, it made sense how we did it. We always had a Navy SEAL every shift. Every shift, there was a Navy SEAL that was temporarily assigned to the police force because we have Bud students and we had Navy SEALs on our base. And if one of those go left and check out or go crazy, that's a trained killer on the loose. Not so much the Bud students, but the Navy SEALs. So we had to have one with us that had a rapport and knew those guys. And to me, that makes sense when you're talking about neighborhoods. You got to have police officers that are from that neighborhood, at least one on every shift. So if shit does goes left, maybe you call them on, and instead of some black guy that you think's doing something bad, the cop that knows him will be like, yo, Derek, what are you doing? And it just, to me, it makes sense. But what I'm getting at is, so we always had a Navy SEAL stationed with us or on a shift. So I always picked their brain about everything. And they were so open. Like the Bud students are the ones you think are getting drunk and beating up people at bars and wilding out. Most of the Navy SEALs are pretty freaking laid back, the ones I knew. So I always ask them questions about Bud's training and everything. They couldn't really tell me about any missions they've been on, but they could tell me about Bud's training. And it was funny because a lot of them was like, once you get to like Wednesday, Thursday, that's when you see the end. You see the light at the end of the tunnel. You just got to make the Friday morning. And what I didn't know is you're in the same fatigues all week. You're not changing clothes. You're not changing underwear. You're not changing socks. You're not taking off your boots, because when you're pushing your body to that type of limit and basically kind of abusing your body, your ankles swell up. And if you take off your boot, you won't be able to get it back on. That's how swelled up it is. I was like, whoa, that's crazy to me. And you would see the guys Friday morning. It was, I liked Friday morning better than I did Sunday night, because Friday morning when you came in, I always wanted to be there when they said, okay, that's it, we're done. Cause you don't know, it could be at 7 a.m. Friday, or it could be at like noon Friday. I don't know. They would just do it. And you see the guys, just the 20 guys left. And you know, they were all hugging, and you saw the instructors, like they changed. Like the instructors literally went from hard asses to now you have like gained the respect of the instructors once you make it through Hell Week. So those Navy SEALs are on some other shit. It's something I never wanted to do. It never got in me like, that'd be dope to do that. In boot camp, we had guys that they said they were going to go try to be a Navy SEAL. Even when I saw it up close, I was like, I don't want no part of that. Nothing about that made me want to do it. But this David Goggins guy, and sorry about the long long Hell Week story, but god dang, it was just some shit that I didn't appreciate then how I appreciate it now, that I was able to see SEAL training up close like that. But this David Goggins guy went through Hell Week 3 times because he got hurt 2 times, and then he went through it a 3rd time within 1 year. That's mind-boggling to me. To go through it once, but 3 times, that's some other mental shit. But he lost all this weight, and he does motivational speaking now. And if you get a chance, man, go to YouTube and just look up David Goggins. Let's listen to his story, listen to him talk. I go to the gym now, and I just listen to him. I don't even listen to music anymore. I just listen to him talking about his story, and it just motivates you. And he talks about how every day do something that sucks. He goes, do something that sucks, because that means you're making yourself uncomfortable, and you'll appreciate it when you're done with that, and then you'll appreciate the comfort afterwards. He goes, every day, he goes, embrace the suck. And it sounded weird. That didn't sound right the way I just said it. But the way he said it, it sounded kind of dope. Embrace the suck. But he's dope. And then there's this other guy, Jocko Willink. Now, Jocko Willink was in charge of like SEAL Team 3 during the Iraqi war. I mean, it's still going on, but like he just did all these missions, and I haven't heard him really talk about like killing people, but you know he's killed people. Like he's went over there, and that's what SEAL teams do. They go over there, they infiltrate. But now this guy, just his voice will get you fired up. He's got this one motivational piece on YouTube called Good, and it's only like 2 minutes long, but it's him, and he's got his own podcast. But it's him in a room, and he just talking about everything's good. He goes, your wife left you? Good. He goes, he's like, yeah, the bank called and said you owe money. Good. All these terrible things that could happen to you, he just says good. He said, because if you can say the word good, it means you're alive. It means you're still here, and it means you got a chance to make things right. You can fix things. He goes, so everything, I just broke my ankle. Good. Now start healing and get better and be stronger when you come back. I'm like, this motherfucker here got me fired. And he looks like a Navy SEAL. Like most Navy SEALs are skinny and small, actually, because, you're in the water a lot of times. You got to be, you're swimming 90% of the time. Navy SEALs, over half the time they swim and they in the water. So you think Navy SEALs are these big, buff, muscle-bound dudes, but that's not the case. A lot of them are just like, they look like Olympic swimmers, honestly. But Jocko looks like a Navy SEAL you would think out of a comic book. I mean, just thick and ripped and got this big neck. He looks like a guy you just don't want to cross. Like you would just keep hitting him and he wouldn't go down. But yeah, look him up and look up that thing Good, where he just says good. Literally go to YouTube, type in Jocko Willink, Willink, and his first name is Jocko, Jocko, and type in good, and just listen to that for 2 minutes. And tell me that don't get you fired up with his voice. But his story, he's got a lot of great stories about going over to Saddam Hussein and infiltrating that. And he's talking about going into some of these some of his palaces and seeing his torture rooms. He said there's one that there was hooks on the wall. He goes, and when he walked in there, he goes, that was one of the few times as a SEAL and being in war where he had to take a step back and realize what he was actually seeing. Because when he walked into one of Saddam's palaces and there was hooks on the wall, that was where they put people. Like they tortured people and just hung them on the wall on a hook. I'm like, that's some depraved, fucked up shit. And it just made me realize I'm so glad that dude's gone. I'm so glad he's not in power. I'm so glad he's dead. He goes, that was one of the few times where he went into a situation in a mission and it hit him when he walked into the room. Like a lot of times your testosterone's so up and you're so locked in as to what your mission is, you don't take time to realize what you're actually seeing. He said, when we went into one of his palaces and walked into that torture room where he saw the hooks on the wall and he realized what those hooks were for, he said, whoa. He said it hit him right then, like, whoa. And that's one of the things, if you believe in ghosts, man, there had to be some spirits in that room. I'm like, I couldn't even fathom. I couldn't even imagine. So, all right. Well, listen, y'all, again, David Goggins, Jocko Willink, Look them up on YouTube. Some other podcasts that I mentioned today that I really like, and I like to go on, honestly, is Theo Vaughn, Bert Kreischer, Joe Rogan. Those are three good ones that I really like. If you guys want to listen to other podcasts outside of my own, I still think mine's the best. Just kidding. Again, Jacksonville, Florida, this weekend, August 23rd to the 26th. New York City, August 30th to July 2nd at Caroline's, and then Dayton, Ohio at the Funny Bone, September 6th through the 9th. And last week I told you I was in Cleveland. I taped my weekend there to send to Netflix. Netflix wanted to see it, and it came out pretty good. I saw it. So Netflix, they're getting it today. As I film this, Netflix is getting the hour I'm submitting to them. So hopefully in the next couple weeks I'll have some good news. I'm just going to cross my fingers. Because this is the farthest I've got with Netflix. In the past, it's just been a no for whatever reason. But now they said, okay, let's see his hour. Let's see what he's got. So hopefully they like it. I looked at it, and if they don't like it, they just don't like me. Or not Netflix, but the people that are making the decisions to give specials. Because honestly, it came out really good. I can't even be like, well, I was off that day or something wasn't right. No. The shit that I sent to Netflix this week is good. I looked at it and I was happy with it. I was like, if they don't like it, for every reason they don't like me for whatever reason, then I'll say it's racial and gender bias if they don't pick me up, because they don't give white guys specials. That wouldn't make any sense. God damn it. I don't even have an argument. I'd just be like, all right, keep moving, film it somewhere else. All right, y'all. I'll see you guys next week. This is Gary Owen with the Get Some podcast. If you want to listen to my podcast, just go to iTunes, search Gary Owen, hashtag Get Some. Hey, y'all, you listen to the Gary Owen podcast, hashtag Get Some. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary Owen with the Get Some podcast. You can listen to this on iTunes. Just search Gary Owen, hashtag Get Some, or watch it on my YouTube page, youtube.com/Gary Owen com. I don't know why I couldn't get Gary Owen. My YouTube is youtube.com/GaryOwencom. I don't know. I mean, I got a good amount of followers, so people are finding it, but I think I probably have a few more if I just had Gary Owen as my YouTube page. I record this at Timeless Recording Studios in Cincinnati, Ohio. You can follow them at Timeless R Studio. As you can see, this is all about hip hop. I think I am the only non-hip hop artist that they have here, because you guys got to see this. This studio's dope that I recorded, but at any point, if I get here early, I'll see rappers on the other side doing the rap thing in the studio, and some are good, and some I'm like, you just wasted your money. You really did. I wonder if this studio is honest with people when they come in. It was like, yo, let's do that again. Or do and that's recording studios in general. Do they just sit there and be like, yo, let's try it one more time just without you? Because it was funny. Like, I came in one time to this studio and this guy was rapping, and I didn't hear him rapping, but it was funny because he clearly wasn't happy with his performance that day. And he kept trying to figure out why. He's like, I don't know what it was, man. He just wasn't feeling it. And the engineer was like, well, do this and this. He goes, da-da-da. And then the guy goes, hey, man, yeah, I party till 6 a.m. And this is like 1. So just listen. I'm not a rapper. I'm not a musician. But to all aspiring rappers and musicians out there, when you're going to record, you might want to save your voice the night before. Like, just a little bit of advice from Gary. That's all I get. It's funny when I see recording studios, and the guy, like the one got me was Eddie Murphy when he had the video, my girl wants to party all the time, and you see Rick James, the engineer, like bring it down and stuff like that. Whenever I hear like a rap song and you hear girls like imitating having orgasms in the background of the song, like it was real big in the 90s R&B. I just be thinking there's literally a girl in the studio just going, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Take 2. Let's act like you getting a big dick this time. 'Cause that sounded like, the tip was in. Okay. The big dick. Okay. Oh, I mean, I just be thinking about that when I hear the rap songs and there's all these sex noises in the background. Anyways, enough about the recording studio and my tidbit to any aspiring musician. The night before you're going to record, especially if you have an early day at the studio, might want to save your voice. Just little help for him from Gary. I got a little bit of news to share. I usually don't share anything until it's locked or I'm done filming or we got a solid release date. But as I've been very vocal and I've never had a Netflix special. I'm not bitter about it, not mad about it. Just is what it is. I've had numerous Showtime specials, never had a Netflix special. Well, Netflix got back to my agency and said they want to see the hour that I would record. They want me to record it. So next week I'm in Cleveland, August 16th to the 19th, and we're going to be recording those sets that week at the Improv to send to Netflix. So if you want to see a preview of a possible Netflix special, go to the Cleveland Improv August 16th to the 19th. That's where I'll be. I mean, Netflix, it's like a love-hate relationship with me. It's like, because they do so many specials, and I'd be like, God, what is the deal? But it's been like that my whole career. Like Comedy Central, I've never had a special on Comedy Central. They, I've just, for whatever reason, and I think somebody said it best. They said, I'm a white guy that has a huge black audience, and they don't know what to do with me because I talk like I talk. It's not, and I talk like Gary. I don't talk white, I don't talk black. I talk like Gary. And maybe if I was a little more hip hop, like maybe people know what to do with me, but they're, you don't know something. You're like, how do we market it? I was like, I'd be thinking, just put it on your network or put it on the station and see how many people watch it. That's what I would do. Funny's funny to me. But we'll see what happens, man. That's more than they've given me in the past as far as Netflix. So now they want to see the hour. So I'm going to give them the hour and then we'll see what happens. I don't know. If not, I'll just keep it moving. Do my own special like I've done the other ones. I got a great relationship with Showtime. So if all else fails, I can go there. But I would like to have something on Netflix. That'd be dope. I tell you, in talking about TV shows and comedy specials is I watched this show on CBS called Big Brother. And I don't know too many people that watch it that are in my inner circle and friends. We watch it. My family watches it. I think it's cool. It's something me and my daughter can talk about because there's not too many shows that me and her like that are the same. But this show is always amazing to me because what it is, you get like, I don't know, is it 16 people or something to start? And they all move into this house and they're cut off from the outside. There's no radio. There's no TV. There's no internet. There's no contact with the outside world. It's just you and these other, I think it's 16 people live in a house. And it's a house on one of the lots. I think the Big Brother house is on the CBS lot right there. If you've ever been to LA, it's right there on Radford in the Valley. Cause that's where it was the last couple seasons. Cause I walked by it as this Big Brother was going on and I could literally hear the people living in the makeshift house in the middle of the lot because they have a yard and you can hear them talking and stuff. But it's interesting because you see yourself. Whenever I watch Big Brother, I put myself in the house and like, how would I maneuver out of that? And it's funny to me because you got some people that be doing the backstabbing and shit starting and you manipulate people and you got to play people against each other. And every week somebody gets voted off. They have to leave the house and the house guests vote the person they want to stay and the person they want to go. And it's funny because they'll have these competitions. And if you win a competition, you become the head of household and you're the one that puts two people up to get evicted. And then the other house guests have to vote to evict whichever one they want. And you see just cliques form and friendships and you got people lying. Yeah, I'm going to vote to keep him. He's going to stay. And then they'll vote to evict this dude or this girl. But, and it's funny when you see people like they got these, they call it the diary room and somebody go in there and they'll talk about what's going on that day or this certain situation. And it's funny because you be seeing people in there, they think they got it all figured out and they don't know shit what's going on in the house. They're like, well, I know Dave voted Jerry out and Dave didn't. they didn't vote Jerry out. Or they'd be like, I know this guy did this or this girl did this. And they'd be so wrong. And it's just, I love it. It gets me through the summer before football starts. Because once basketball ends, Big Brother usually starts the end of June. And then it runs to the first week of September. It's 90-some days they stay in the house. And it gets me through the summer. And it's on 3 days a week. So, I don't know. It's my guilty pleasure. So if anybody is listen to my podcast, make some comments about this season of Big Brother. For those of you that do watch it, I think Tyler's running the whole house. Tyler is a surfer from Ohio, lives in South Carolina. He plays like the dumb surfer head, but that dude is smart. He's running that whole fucking house. Big Brother's a show I like. Obviously, The Walking Dead. I love The Walking Dead. I also love the Talking Dead. The show comes after it. And I really like any show that has to do with prison. On these I find myself on Netflix a lot watching these prison documentaries, Lock Up Raw, and World's Most Dangerous Prisons. I think it's just because it's a part of society that I never see. I don't want to see. I don't want to experience it or nothing. The closest I ever come to prison is I got a roommate when I first moved to LA. He's in Folsom Prison right now. He's got life. He does have the possibility of parole. According to him, I think it's next year. I think next year he's up for parole. But he's already been in for, I bet you 17 years he's been locked up so far. But I'll go visit him in prison. And it's just he's obviously we don't talk about what this guy did or this guy did. But when you're in he's been in San Quentin, he's been in Vacaville, and now he's in Folsom. Whenever I go visit him, I'm very aware. I'm like, I'm literally around probably murderers, just thugs around me. And I just be looking, it's mind-boggling because when you go visit him, everybody's just cool and nice. Because he said in the common area, the visiting area, you could hate somebody. You guys could know you're going to be fighting or you might be shanking that dude in a couple days. But once you're in your family and friends and in that visiting area, all the racial stuff, all the gang stuff goes away because everybody wants their visitors and nobody wants that privilege taken away. So because literally when you're in the visiting area, you be like, it looks like everybody's getting along. It looks like it's the happiest prison on earth. Every time I go visit my friend, I'll be there like, these are the happiest prisoners. And then he's like, dude, it ain't like that inside. He was like, no, this is in the visiting area. Everybody's polite and cool. And you'll see the guys. Like you'll see a white dude with like a swastika on his forearm. I mean, he's right there. So you know what he stands for and what he's about. But even he'll be like, excuse me, or he'll hold the door open for somebody's mom that's black or there's the vending machines and there's usually, Jesus Christ, what was that? Usually there's a line you can't cross and you have to go get the snacks from the vending machine. And only one person can cross the line at a time. It can't be like both of you standing at the vending machine debating over what you're going to get. Usually I'll just show up and I'll ask my boy, what do you want me to get? And I'll go get ice cream sandwich or one of the microwave burgers or a soda or something. So it's just, that's as close as I get to prison. San Quentin was the one where you actually got to see some of the prison before you walked in to the visiting area, because most of the time, like Folsom is nothing but a big wall that goes around. It looks very much like it should be on Game of Thrones. It's like it's a field, and you get checked in like this one building, and then you walk through this big wall, this stone wall. You go through one gate and you go through another gate, and then you can be outside or inside at Folsom because it sits all by itself. But if you're outside, it can get hot out there. So you got guys are fighting for the shade, and then the inside's kind of small at Folsom. So you just kind of, all you see at Folsom is you go inside the wall, and then you see the little picnic tables and stuff where you go visit your friend, and you can go inside and see the little visiting area where the vending machines are. That's it. San Quentin, you literally walk like. San Quentin would be $1 million real estate if there wasn't a prison there, because it sits right on the water. It's got some amazing views. of the San Francisco, the Bay. And you go through, you check in San Quentin, then you walk. I'm not lying, probably 800 yards till you get to the visiting area of the prison. You're already within the prison grounds, so to speak. Then you go through one cell, you go through another cell door, and then to your left in San Quentin, you'll see phones, like the kind you see in the movies where somebody's talking on the phone. And to the right, you'll see these cages where it's just like I think 3 people can be in the cage at a time. You'll see there's 8 of them. And usually there's only one prisoner and then one person with them. And then I come to find out that's like death row max security dudes are to the right when you walk by them. Because I swear on my life I saw Scott Peterson sitting in there one time. Like I've seen everybody in person. I've seen Michael Jordan, Barack Obama. I never saw Michael Jackson in person. But Prince, I've seen him in person and met him. And I was never just stopped and stared, except when I went to San Quentin and I thought I saw Scott Peterson. And I still think it was him. I have no way to confirm it. I can't ask a gate guard, yo, was that Scott Peterson? But it was just him, and it was just him sitting with this older white dude that had the George Jefferson, but it was a white dude. And that's when I asked my boy, I was like, what are those red cages there in the beginning? And he was like, oh, that's when he told me those are max, dude. They don't get a lot. They're on lockdown 23 hours a day type deal. But then you go past all those 8 little max visiting areas, and then you just go into an open area in San Quentin. And that's where there's tables and vending machines, and that's where they all come visit. And that's where all the visitors are. You see the prison wives, quote unquote. I was actually a part of a wedding when I went to visit him in Vacaville. A guy got married to some chick, and she was trying to get in. When she was checking in, she was having a fit because they made her take off so much shit because she wanted to look good on her wedding day. So she had a metal bobby pin in her hair. Nope, that came out. And then she had literally a metal pin in her bra, and she had to take that out because it went off when she went to the security screening. And then she had the wedding rings. Nope, she couldn't take them in either because they were I guess the alarm went off, so she couldn't take them in. He was having a fit. It's my wedding day. It's my wedding day. And I was just thinking, damn, man, they don't get to consummate the marriage. They just kissed real quick, and that was it. And I'm just thinking, and then I asked him, the guy she got married to is a lifer, and he was like, yeah, he's in here for life. And I was like, damn, I don't know why even get married? What's the point of that? I don't understand that. Just go together, hang out, and visit when you visit. But yeah, those jail TV shows always pique my interest. Just, seeing the mindset that someone has to go through to get, because I hear people say you can get institutionalized. You're in prison long enough, you might be popular in prison, and you might have respect in prison, and then you get out and you have none of that. You're starting your whole life over working minimum. You're going to probably start working a minimum wage job if you can get a job. And people are going to look at you a certain way when you have to put convicted felon on a job application. And then guys go commit crimes and they go back in because they're comfortable in prison. I can't ever see myself with that kind of mentality, because my big thing is you can't get no pussy. Can't get no pussy in prison. So I'd rather work the minimum wage job and take that little bit of embarrassment saying convicted felon, knowing I still can get a blowjob and I still can get laid. But guys are like, they go back on almost like on purpose. I'm dumbfounded by that. And I'm sure there's ways around things in prison if you really want to get some pussy. I'm sure there's guards. I'm always amazed when I see female guards that are in an all-male prison, and then they're shocked when there'll be some scandal. Like a couple years ago, those guys in New York, they basically seduced the guard, and then she ended up helping them escape. but she wasn't there to pick him up when they cut through the manhole. Those guys in New York, that was an elaborate one. Those two dudes, one guy lost like 30 pounds so he could fit through this tunnel that they built. I mean, it was some Shawshank Redemption shit going on in New York a couple years ago. I don't know if you guys remember that. And then they hid out in the woods. And the one guy, they found him, they ended up killing him in the woods. The other guy, he just surrendered. He's the one that told the whole story. But I know you want equality, but it doesn't. I don't know why people are shocked when you got female prison guards that start doing extra stuff for the male prisoners, whether it's fucking sneaking shit in, blah, 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 because I'm thinking the females getting a lot of attention, female prison guards. And not to say there aren't attractive female prison guards. I've seen some attractive female prison guards, but I've also seen some very unattractive female prison guards. And I'm sure they're getting attention in that prison that they don't get at a nightclub, that they don't get just out in public going to the grocery store. You probably got guys whistling, telling them how beautiful they are and sexy, and you smell nice today. And I'm sure they're getting compliments after compliments. I'm sure they're getting some rude shit too, but I'm sure they're getting a lot of compliments that they don't get. And that could be not a recipe for trouble, but a recipe for the hookup, so to speak. So I'm always, whenever I see like that, I'm like, duh, what'd you think was going to happen when you hired a female to look like that and you send her into the wolves where all these dudes are that ain't getting no kind of female contact? I remember how miserable I was when I was in the Navy. I was on two ships. I was one called the Cape Cod, and the Cape Cod have females on it. And it's not like you got to be having sex with females, but it's just nice to be around them. Just the scent of a woman, or just to be around them. You got a bunch, and then I was on another ship. We didn't have no females on there. None. Bunch of hard dick sailors in the middle of the ocean. God, that sucked. That was the worst. And I was on a Navy ship. I didn't have sex with nobody on the ship. I didn't screw any of the girls. Never talked to them. Never dated any of them. But it was less tension on that ship, the Cape Cod, than the Boxer. I was on a ship called the Boxer, and I was on a ship called the Cape Cod. And God, the Cape Cod was great. It was like a floating high school, and it reminded me when I was in high school, because I never slept with any girl I went to high school with. Even though I was around girl all the time, I just didn't have sex till I got out of high school. And Navy was the same way, man. I never slept with any of the girls I was on the ship with, but it was just cool to be around them. And then when I got on the Boxer, oh my God, nothing but dudes. I was like, good fucking Lord, man. Can I just have the scent of anything other than an Old Spice? Fuck. That's what I didn't get when I was in the Navy. There was a big thing. It was the don't ask, don't tell era. And it was all these women, not a lot, but a few, they wanted to fight to have, they wanted to do the same types of job as men. And they didn't want to be segregated as far as like what ships they could be on and what ships they couldn't. Because when I was in the Navy, females could not be on combat ships. So like the Cape Cod, the one I was on with females, that was what you call a subtender or destroyer tender. That ship would go out and fix the submarines when they was out at sea, or they would fix another ship if it broke down. But it wasn't armed with a bunch of weapons, and it wasn't going to battle like that. But now females are on all the ships. They're on all the aircraft carriers, all the any type of ship you want, females can be on. I'm not sure about submarines. I'm pretty sure, but not sure. But if you're not on a ship, the thing about the Navy is then you're on shore duty. So all the females were pretty much on shore duty, like 90% in the Navy. When you're on shore duty, it's a regular 9-to-5 job. You go to work in the morning, you come home at night. And the Navy gives you extra money. If you don't want to live in the barracks on the base, they'll give you money to get an apartment. They call it VHA BAQ. It's like a housing allotment. And depending on your age, what your rank is, what your rate is, depends on how much money they will give you to get a place on your own. And I'm like, so basically you can get an apartment rent free, and you go to work every morning, you come home at night. So you just got a normal life. You can go grocery shopping, you can go to the movies, you can go out, get your nails done, get your hair done, just normal everyday life. Now, or you can go on a ship. And when you're on a ship, you don't get VHA and BAQ. They say no. We have a bunk for you on the ship. You can live on the bunk. And then you're going out to sea for months at a time. That's not the best way to live. And then, so I'm thinking if I was a female back then, I would tell them other females, shut the fuck up. We got it good right now. If I was a dude and it was reversed, I'd be looking at dudes like, don't fucking fight for us for that equal shit. We got it better right now. It's funny, like, I don't know who came up with that concept. Yo, we want to be the same as the dudes in the military. I'd be like, shut the fuck up. Females had it made when I came in the military. Made. And now let me tell you something. Hey, when I talked about prison stuff earlier, you get on a ship in the middle of the ocean with a bunch of dudes, it's probably the closest thing to prison. It's probably why I'm a little intrigued by prison life, because I got a little taste of it out at sea. Because if you're on a ship with a bunch of dudes, you don't see any females or nothing, you basically, the ship's only so big. And you see the same people every day. And the food ain't that great. Very much prison-esque food when you're on Navy ships. Now, granted, we have a commissary, just like the prisoners do. And when I tell you the same food in prison that you see, the top ramen, the candy bar, shit like that, it's the same shit on Navy ships. That's what you eating when you're not eating the mess hall food. I'm like this. It's the same shit. You see guys with the ramen noodles in their lockers and under their beds, their bunks, their racks. You got the candy bars, you got the chips. Combos was a big one. Motherfuckers love combos. I never really got into combos. Motherfuckers love combos. So I'm just, just a little Navy history from Gary Owen. Now, I like doing my podcast. I do. But I really started watching. Jamie Foxx has I don't know if it's a TV show or it's an online series called Off Script. And he begins some good guests. He had Denzel on there. He had The Rock. And I really like that format. I like the way Jamie sits down on the couch and he's getting like super. There's A-list and then there's motherfucking A-list. Jamie's getting the motherfucking A-list. He getting The Rock and Denzel. God damn. What the fuck? So I'm doing my podcast right now because last night I watched one of his off scripts and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm sitting in Cincinnati, Ohio in a studio with a couple dudes looking at me right now. I'm like, Jamie got The Rock and Denzel and shit. The fuck? Nah. But it's such a good show, man. If you get a chance to watch it, look it up online. Just search Jamie Foxx Off Script. And because Jamie's at a point where he can draw things out of guys and stories and they let their guard down because they know it's not coming from a place of malice or he's not trying to set them up or dig up any dirt on them. And he's not doing it for some shock factor. He's not doing an interview like, can you believe Denzel said this? Can you believe The Rock said this? Nah, he's going to in-depth, pulling back the curtain to find out their story of what makes them tick and work, and they give advice on how to make it and what to do and how to get ready for auditions and shit like that. It's really interesting stuff. And Jamie's, instead of being like an interviewer, he's just like, it's almost like you're in the locker room and it's just two teammates just bullshitting. But it's a good show, man. And you don't see Denzel a lot doing interviews, so it was cool to see Denzel on there. And Rock seems like he's got to be the coolest motherfucker on the planet. He has to be. I mean, every time you see him, you just want to hang out with him. And I guarantee he's one of those guys that when he walks in the room, you just really want him to like you and talk to you. I just probably be staring at him like, can you say hi? And, I remember I did a tweet a while back about The Rock, and then he retweeted it, and then he said, this is why you're one of my favorite comedians. I lost my shit. I fanned out for about 5 minutes. And I'm on Twitter going, I can't believe fucking Rock replied. I felt like a bitch. I did. But I think I was in Japan. And I did some kind of tweet where I said I worked out, The Rock inspired me today, something minor. And then I made a joke about it. And then because I said, yeah, I farted. I apologized to people in the gym today because I know you guys were impressed by all the weight I was moving, but that was me that farted. So if you smelled anything, I apologize. And then The Rock said, I was like, but The Rock had me so motivated, I didn't want to stop my workout. Something like that. And then The Rock said, he was like, see, this is why you're one of my favorite comedians, man. Glad I could inspire you. And then he said, and stop crop dusting in the goddamn gym. I was like, I had a fan moment, man. I did. And and then he follows me on Twitter. So sometimes I feel a little pressure to be somewhat funny. Cause I'll see Rock's on, like he'll be making a couple tweets, respond to fans. I go, oh, I'll probably see it right now if I tweet something. But yeah, he's one of those guys I would love to work with, in the future. Like Denzel, I'd like to work with, but I'd probably be nervous because I'm probably like, oh shit, I want to fuck up these lines. Can you imagine being in a scene with Denzel and you forget your line, especially early on? It's not like, because I always feel like the pressure when you're doing a movie is not to be one of the main characters. It's to be one of these guys that comes in for a day or two. And if you have a lot of dialogue, you don't want to fuck it up. I'm always when I'm on movie sets and I'm like looking like, oh, we did like Think Like a Man and Think Like a Man 2. Man, every now and then you'd have a guest and you're like, oh shit, I hope you don't fuck up. Because I know the first movie, now listen, first movie I ever did was Held Up with Jamie Foxx, speaking of Jamie. And this guy came in and he was only there, he had one scene. He was there for one day. And it was a big scene though. He had a lot of lines for that one day, but he kept forgetting his lines. And it's not like he forgot them, like he wasn't prepared. They were getting mixed up in his brain and you could see it. Like he was delivering it and they were like, you say this. He was just, for whatever reason, he left the scene and all he was trying to do was remember the lines. And when you do that, you'll fuck up every time. When you just know the lines and you're in the scene, you may say something out of whack, but you'll get right back into it if you know the lines. But I've been, Daddy Daycare, I was a little nervous because I was only on set for 2 days, and my scene was with Eddie Murphy. I mean, goddamn. And Eddie just walked out, and I remember I'm looking ridiculous. Eddie didn't come to any of the table reads. He didn't come to any of the rehearsals. He's fucking Eddie Murphy. He just showed up when it was time to work, and so his stand-in did everything. And then when they got the cameras ready to roll, then Eddie came in, and I remember right off the bat, he knew who I was. He quoted one of my jokes. And I was like, oh. And I remember the joke. He was like, yo, you're the guy that said, the world's backwards right now when the number one golfer's black, but the number one rapper's white. Because Eminem was the number one rapper and Tiger was the number one golfer. And then something else came after it. But he quoted that part of my joke. And I was like, yeah, I can't believe you saw that. He goes, yeah, man. And then we did the scene. And keep on, I'm in this ridiculous carrot outfit. The first time I ever see Eddie Murphy in person, I'm dressed like a big ass carrot. And then we did the scene and I remember I knew my lines so well. I knew I was going to fuck it up, but still it was just like, at one point I'm like this close. I mean, to Eddie, I could smell his breath. I could see all the lines in his face. I was like, damn, I'm really this close to Eddie Murphy doing a scene. Like there was one point I was delivering the lines in one of the takes, but I wasn't in the scene. My brain was in right field because I was like, oh shit, I'm doing this shit with Eddie Murphy. And then here's a shit though. So we shoot the movie and I don't get any pictures with him on set. Now I would, but back then I didn't want to bother him. So then we get to the movie premiere, which is, 9 months later. We film it 9 months later, movie comes out. And I remember Eddie had a line. And they had this, cause it was a PG movie, Daddy Daycare. And we did the movie. Everybody saw the movie and then they had like this park they rented out and they brought all these rides in, it was like a big daycare with all these face painting. And it was a carnival, basically. It was a big ass carnival. And Eddie came and at that time he was married to Nicole and they had all their kids. They were little. But at one point there was a line of about 30 people in line to take a picture with Eddie and say hi. And all I wanted to do was get a picture and just say it was awesome to work with you. You're one of my favorites. That's all I was going to say. And then literally the guy before me was a comedian. I'm not going to call him out. Even if I did, you never heard of him. But in LA, everybody knew him. And when he came around, you just kind of shook your head because he just doing too much. This motherfucker. And I'm next. I am next to get a picture and say my spiel to Eddie. First of all, he grabs Eddie. And like holds him way too tight, one of them way too long, strong hugs. And Eddie's not a touchy-feely dude. Most of the time, people were just coming up, hand on shoulder, get the picture, that's it. This dude grabs Eddie, gets him in somewhat of a bear hug, and was in his ear, just talking real close. And I could tell what he was saying. It was probably like, motherfucker, you inspire me. You gonna see me one day. I'm a comic because of you. Doing shit like that. But I saw Eddie's face just drop. Like he went from good mood, my movie's coming out, Daddy Daycare looks like it's going to be a success. It was a fun movie. We got kids here. Vibes good. And the dude fucked up Eddie's mood. Grabbed him, hugged him way too tight. And when I saw Eddie's face just goddamn drop, like, oh, this motherfucker. And I just got out of line. I told my wife, I got out of line and my wife was like, what are you doing? I go, I'm not going to be next after that. And he took pictures with like 3 more people and then he was done. The guy was like, no more pictures. Eddie just wants to enjoy the day, which I respect. But I just was thinking that, why did I get in line behind him? If it had just been me, would have did it, it would have been over with. But at that time, I was like, God damn it. And I don't think I have a picture with Eddie. I don't. I've run into him numerous times since then, but I don't think, have I? No. He was at one of my shows one time at the Comedy Store. And I saw him after, and we just, hey, what's up? And then, but I didn't get a picture with him. Yeah, and I'm at a point now where I could easily ask him if I saw him, but, I just, like, one dude fucked up. I remember I was so mad at him. I was like, you motherfucker, you ruined my moment. But speaking of comedy, last week, there was the Montreal Comedy Festival. And if you guys know what that is, like every year, all the big comics, they come together, not even big comics, just comics. And they have this big festival. It's like a week-long festival in Montreal, Canada. I'm not sure why they chose Montreal, but that's where it's been like that for, 30, 40 years. And they'll have big shows and small shows. There'll be a show that's called New Faces. But this year they had a guy named Darren Knight. He's basically online YouTube, Instagram type comic. But he's huge. He's got a big following. He acts like, I think he's got a character called Southern Mama, where he acts like a lady, a Southern mother, grandmother type deal. And he went on stage and got booed so bad. And he got booed. Listen, if you get booed in Montreal on one of the big main stages, so now basically you're getting that's tough to do, because you got people that paid money, that are there to have a good time, that want to laugh. And you got booed by them. That's tough to do. And it was online. It was an ugly boo. And I don't know what jokes he said, but the comics got mad at him. Like the comics, usually we're very giving. We're very receptive. You'll bounce back from it. Don't worry about it. It happens to everybody type deal when you get booed. Man, the comics is like, basically like, fuck you, man. You're disrespecting our craft. And when comics say you're offensive, you're offensive. Because you can push the envelope. You can be someone like Bill Burr, Ralphie May, Jeff Ross. You can push the envelope and make the uncomfortable comfortable. Louis C.K., those type. That's a craft and that's a gift. But real comics can do that. But when you're just saying shit to say shit, like if you're calling black people the N-word or gay people the F-word or little people the M-word, when you're just saying it, and there's no like joke behind it or any redeeming factors after it, you're just saying it to say it, to basically get a shock, and then it doesn't work and you turn on the crowd. And it reminds me that, God damn, I know it sounds cocky, but like, God damn, I'm pretty good at this shit. Because when somebody gets booed like that, I'm like, I could have got that crowd. I could have did it. I would have known how to navigate through that shit. And it's sometimes like, there's a lot of people that don't know how to get out of that shit. I remember we did the Shaq tour 2011. 2 of the online people got booed, and they brought we had the same lineup. It was me, Michael Blackson, D. Ray Davis, Corey Holcomb, and Capone was the comics, and all heavy hitters, all funny guys. Every city, everybody was ripping, doing their own thing. Then we get to Atlanta, I hear a boo, and I'm like, who the hell's getting booed in Atlanta, which is a great comedy city? And they come to find out it was they brought 2 YouTube comics, and they got on stage and they wasn't ready. And the one comic bombed, and the next comic came up and got booed. So basically the second comic took the first comic's boo. So she got booed for both of them. But it just goes to show you, man, this is not everybody can do it. Not everybody can be a stand-up. And it's a huge difference between Instagram funny and stand-up funny. Because I see people that, like King Batch and is one that comes to mind. He's, his vines and some of his videos are so creative. I'm like, I would have never thought of that. And that's a talent to think that way. But, stand-up, it's just different. It's just a different form. It's a different art form all to itself. And when you see somebody that's got it and is good, you're like, okay, that guy's really good. And Montreal is a different beast in itself. Because I did Montreal, almost 20 years ago, 18 years ago. I was on a show called New Faces. And what New Faces is they bring in like 12 what they say new comics. It's basically fresh faces to look for. And 6 will be on one show and then 6 will be on another show. You're not going to put 12 comics on the same show. So 6 will be going up Monday, then the other 6 will go up Tuesday, basically. And I just remember I went up and we drew like numbers, and I was the first comic on the first night of the Montreal Comedy Festival for New Faces. And the host really wasn't getting any laughs. Then I went up there and didn't get a chuckle. I didn't get anything. They didn't even really clap when they announced my name. I was like, damn, this crowd's dead. And I only had 5 minutes. And now, if I was doing that, I would have bailed on my set and found a way to work that crowd to get them going. Back then, I was a younger comic. I in my brain, I was like, I know these 5 minutes will work. But in my heart, I was like, they're not working. Bail, Gary. Pull the cord. It was like I jumped off a plane and the parachute never opened. I'm like, pull the damn fucking cord, man. And I remember when the show was over, I go up for 5 minutes, I get no laughs, and I just walked out the back door and I start walking back to my hotel. And my wife was my girlfriend at the time. She just started following me. And my agent was still like, yo, these TV execs, they still want to meet Gary. They still want to say hi. And my wife was like, he ain't coming out. I know Gary. I walked 2 miles back to my hotel, pissed. And I just sat in my room all day. And I didn't go up for another 2 days. I ended up being on like 3 shows that week. And what's crazy about that week is, so I went up 2 days later, I went up and I saw everybody that was on my New Faces show, and they said everybody bombed. They said all 6 comics went up there and nobody got a laugh. They go, dude, nobody got a laugh. That crowd was just sitting there looking at us. And I'm like, oh, so I felt a little better because I didn't stay to watch the other comics. I dipped. I was so mad. And then Guy Torrey missed his flight and said he needed somebody on the Urban show. And then I went up on the Urban show, which is AKA the Black show. Oh, destroyed that shit. That was a great set. And I ended up getting a TV deal with Quincy Jones out of the Montreal Comedy Festival. And that's why I say that's what the Montreal Comedy Festival is all about. It's about all the comics coming together, but it's also the TV execs. And you got movie producers and directors. They'll go up to Montreal and they'll scout new talent or people that they just didn't think of. Lil Rel's one right now. He's killing it. And he did Montreal New Faces back in 2011. And the year I did New Faces, Gabriel Iglesias was on the other 6. He wasn't on the show I was on. He was on the other New Faces show. And then he ended up that's where he really started getting some heat on him right there, New Faces. Kevin Hart was New Faces years ago too. But I mean, you can get TV deals and movie deals out of it. What I remember distinctly about Montreal the year I did it was there was a white guy named Chicken. He went by the name Chicken. His name was Michael Roof. And he didn't get on New Faces, even though he wasn't around doing stand-up that long. He got on one of the main stage shows. The show that the Darren Knight got booed off. Those main stage shows are the ones you want to be on because those crowds I heard are amazing. They laugh at everything. So Chicken went up, got on one of the main stage shows and ripped. Had a really good set. Got a TV deal. Got a TV show on Fox, I believe, called All That. It was a sketch comedy show. And I remember Frank Caliendo was on that show, and there was a comic named Shema Tosh, and I say that name because I started with her in San Diego. And then I want to say Tracy Ellis Ross was on it, but I'm not sure. And anyways, the show only lasted 1 year on Fox, and it went away. And then Chicken Man, he ended up being in Black Hawk Down, and then he was in Triple X with Vin Diesel. And then he was in the second one with Ice Cube. He was the gadget guy. So all this happened, after Montreal. And then nothing happened. Is just he wasn't getting work like he thought. And then come to find out, man, like 4 or 5 years ago, he committed suicide. He hung himself behind an elementary school in Georgia. He went back in the woods and hung himself. Went up in a tree, tied a rope, and just hung himself. And he was a white dude. And he reminded me, everybody used to compare us because he was a white dude, but he would do the black rooms. And I remember just thinking, damn, he had all this going for him. And then all of a sudden, no work came his way for a while. And I guess he got depressed and just committed suicide. It's a tough business, man. But that's just a couple Montreal comedy festival stories. And it brought all those memories back after I saw this Darren Knight guy get booed. I didn't get booed in Montreal. I just had silence. And that sometimes can be worse than a boo. At least if you get booed, you know where you stand with the audience. If they just looking at you, you're like, I don't know if they like me or not. And it's funny because that crowd in Montreal was old. It was an old crowd. And sometimes I'll be on stage now, and sometimes when I do theaters, I can't see past the first couple rows, but I'll just see an old couple to the left. And every time I see an old couple or older people at my show, it takes me back to Montreal. And even though I might have like 3,000 people laughing, I'll keep glancing over to be like, are they gonna laugh? And it's funny. And I just realized older people physically are not going to give you the laughs you want that a younger person can give. They're not. They're just gonna, they're not gonna be rocking back and forth and go, it's like, you get little chuckles from old people. And that's all I look at. Cause as soon as I see like older white people at my show, it takes you back to Montreal. And it's funny because I'll make a concerted effort to glance over, like, are they laughing? I'm like, yes. If I would have did that joke in Montreal, fuck. But it all worked out because I ended up getting a TV deal out of the comedy festival, and it ended up, I had a year where I got to hang out with Quincy Jones, always at his house trying to put a TV show together. And the TV show never went, but I got some great memories and I got some great stories from Quincy about just coming up. He's got the best stories about Michael Jackson and Sammy Davis Jr. and Frank Sinatra and Bono. He just got story. He's telling the truth. I mean, I've heard people talk about Michael Jackson, do Michael Jackson stories. I'm like, he lying, but Quincy's telling the truth. Sometimes people tell me lies and I'll be like, dude, even if that did happen, I don't believe you. I remember one night I was out and this guy came up. I was in Cincinnati and probably 2005. And this guy came up to me and he was a white dude, but he had his hat crooked, his pants was sagging. He goes, "Oh, Gary, what's up, baby? Yeah, I'm in the rap game myself." He goes, "I'm working with Shaq right now on something." I said, "For real? What's your name, man? I'm gonna call him and tell him I met you." He goes, "Did I say Shaq? I'm at Snoop." But the way he just corrected himself when he realized I kind of called him out on the lie, and then he went to Snoop. He goes, "Yeah, I'm in the rap game myself, man. Working with something right now with Shaq." I said, "Oh, for real? Next time I talk to him, I'm gonna tell him I met you, man. In fact, I'll call him right now." I think I said something like that because I knew he was lying. And he was like, "Did I say Shaq? I'm at Snoop." And the way he did it so flawlessly, it was just, he wasn't gonna come off the lie. I was like, I don't believe you, dude. Even if you're telling you, I probably don't believe you. If that's how you say hi, come on now. All right. Anyways, all right. Well, this is a great episode. I had fun. I'll see you guys next time. This is Gary Owen with the Get Some podcast. If you want to listen to my podcast, just go to iTunes, search Gary Owen, #Get Some.